and her olive skin had plumped out again. But ever since she had come back from the camp, she had felt as though she was living in a state of suspended animation. She was waiting for something, or someone. But for what? For whom? Everyone who mattered was dead. The apartment had once been filled with people and music. Now it was like a grave, the air frozen, the lopsided books on the shelves untouched, the grand piano covered in dust. Sabine squinted through the doorway at the instrument. The day France mobilized, she'd been teaching tiny Hélène Rosenfeld to play Rachmaninoff's Lilacs. Now Hélène, her mother, her sisters, her entire family were lying dead in a ditch somewhere in Poland. It was hard to believe that Sabine had once instructed young, slender hands, and pudgy, eager ones, to play Chopin's nocturnes, Schubert's sonatas, and Debussy's lilting Clair de Lune. But she had been an entirely different person then. 4 years of living by nothing but stealth, fear, and a determination to rid her country of the enemy had altered her. There was nothing in her makeup that had any resemblance to the former Sabine Brouillette, once a highly sought-after piano teacher, once a devoted wife and mother. Her neighbour, Madame Chou, said Sabine could play again if she really wanted to, that she could adapt the music to accommodate her crippled left hand. But Sabine didn't trust a word Madame Chou said. It would be too painful to pick up the sharp pieces of a shattered life. It was better to move forward, to become somebody else. Besides, if Sabine could gather enough evidence, she was going to have Madame Chou arrested as a collaborator. She took a sip of the bitter coffee and imagined the immaculately coiffed matron being carted off to prison for her crimes. The picture made Sabine smile, her first in a long time. It was starting to snow outside, but Sabine was loath to take the metro. She didn't like being underground, and she hated crowds. It was better to risk the icy streets than to be crammed shoulder to shoulder with her fellow citizens, all the way to Place Victor Hugo. She locked her front door and wheeled her bicycle down the steps to the foyer. The concierge, Madame Rousard, came out of her office and gave Sabine a friendly smile. "You look nice today, Madame Brouillette. You have colour in your cheeks," she said. Sabine watched Madame Rousard's stout legs climb the stairs to the second floor. The steely 70-year-old had hidden Jewish women and children from the Gestapo. It was Madame Rousard who had coaxed Sabine away from the window ledge the day she decided that a life without those she loved wasn't worth living. "If you are still here, it is because God has a purpose for you," she had told her. "France needs women like you to rebuild it. You will do so in memory of all those you have lost. Do it for them." Sabine mounted the bicycle and headed in the direction of Rue de Bussy. She took a different route to work each day. It was an old habit she couldn't shake. Despite the rationing, there was still a line of shivering people waiting outside a bakery, and the shelves of the shoe store next to it were empty. The once bustling Quai Voltaire was as sedate as a country road, its only traffic bicycles and noisy foul-smelling pétrolettes. The Germans had taken the cars, buses and trucks when they left. The misshapen fingers of her left hand weakened her grip on the handlebars, and the road was slippery. She wobbled and narrowly missed a man driving a goat cart. He swore at her and shook his fist. "Pardon, monsieur," Sabine called back to him over her shoulder. She slowed down, having no intention of falling off and breaking her neck that day. Not while the Nuremberg trials were in progress. A kiosk displayed the headlines. The full extent of the atrocities was finally being exposed. The court had been shown films of the concentration camps, yet the men in the dock demonstrated no guilt. They even complained that the accusations against them were unjust. But Sabine knew they were already condemned because nobody loved the theatre of perceived justice better than the Americans. It was the thought of the other monsters, the ones who were slipping.